It just like all of a sudden started flooding.
Yeah, I like the idea of YouTube. I really do, but I think I'm staying out of this chat.
No, I'm not. I'm not in the chat either. I don't know how to use that chat anyways. So.
You gotta say no and then create a channel.
Oh, Rikhil just killed our chat.
No, my software shut down.
Because I'm like, why am I watching a high stakes poker game? I'm like, wow, Rikhil's watching this.
Someone commented banned? Question mark.
That could be
banned everybody.
Mysterious high stakes player who destroys huge cash game.
Yeah, the institutions saw us and institutions shut us down.
Oh. Wow, who is who? I want to know who this guy is. He destroys the cash game. 25, 50, 100. Ooh, this is good. I'm gonna go play this live at the bike. It's a 25, 50, 100. I can play this on TV and I can actually be there. Oh, that's really cool. I'm gonna do that. You will see me at live on the bike very shortly. I'm gonna go to LA next month and I'm gonna go to live on the bike. I'm gonna be on that just to play in the game. See how well I do. Probably get busted right away. These guys are too good.
Okay, how do I play all these songs at once? Oh. Whoa, too loud.
The elevator music.
Yeah, YouTube told me, here's a list of songs you can play and you can't play anything else. I'm like, okay.
A lot of songs.
Literally, YouTube gave me the whole playlist. I'll show you what YouTube sent me. So YouTube sent me a YouTube audio library. They're like, hey man, if you want to play music,
you can pick out of here.
it's like, here's what you can play. So I have all these.
Is there any good songs in there?
Yeah, we have genres. Depending on mood. If you're angry, you're calm, happy.
Go to mood. You want to see the moods?
Dark, calm, bright, inspirational.
Yeah. Children music here as well. Someone with the kids, toy piano, Humpty Dumpty.
Would you guys be looking for further GJ cells now that it's approaching this broken support? I think you would need the candle on the higher time frame to move in the same direction for a sell, because right now there is no opportunity for a sell. If you were looking for GJ cells and you were dead set on taking cells today, this is where you would start to look at taking cells. So, or even over here, this is where I'd be looking for taking cells. The fact that it's going back up here, that does not mean to take cells. This is just going to range around.
Yeah, so for me to take cells here, I want to see a 30-minute candle flip bearish. Okay, what's this? Oh, I need someone to kick my ass and punch me in the face every day so that I can wake up. Do you mind me asking if this was...
Ask your dad or something, your uncle.
This was actually a good trade. Looks like we took it. Gold is back in ranging mode. See that? There's support, 1500, 1499.
Yeah, gold's stuck in that range.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a good idea to play with it today. Maybe later.
Anyone trading live? There are no trades, so there's no trade. Mr. FA. I don't know why people have this assumption that if you are on the charts, you should always be in a trade.
Are there a list of past trades? Yep, you can watch the previous streams. You can go on Raja's Wicks Don't Lie Instagram and see all the previous trades. He posts all the highlights there, so you have lots of opportunity.
I'm in GJ holding from 128.945. Oh, very nice. Very nice. So for it to continue down, it needs to create a resistance at this level.
Do you mind asking me if this is how your risk was on that trade? Well, yeah, I guess that would be a good risk. The thing with that rich.com is the idea with the initial risk is that you were hoping that we'd go down further, and because we didn't, you sort of just close out, and it sucks.
Roham. Oh, Roham is here too. Wasn't YouTube banned in Iran, Roham?
Yeah, the charts aren't really friendly today, so
no,
I think I'm gonna sit back and watch. I'm going over to the CNE this afternoon to play poker all day. So.
Oh yeah, CNE is on.
Yeah, the casino's open. The CNE doesn't open till like I think next week, the actual rides and stuff, but the casino's open. So.
Oh, that's why Rajiv, he messaged me, hey, are you gonna play games? I'm like, what?
I got a buddy who's a dealer at that poker, that one at poker games.
Oh, at the CNE?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I feel bad for those dealers because they're all relatively brand new, and they turn around and they get berated by everybody.
Yeah, he just told me a couple horror stories. But he seems to like it, and he plays, he plays poker with us in the league on Wednesdays. So.
What league do you play in?
It's just a little house.
Oh, okay. Because I used to play out in Orangeville a lot. My friends run a big league out in Orangeville. I used to drive out there on Friday nights to play.
You still go out there?
Once in a while. It's tough for me because it's about an hour and a half away on a drive, so it's usually tough to go out there. But in my heyday, I was out there every weekend in the rain or snow or whatever playing.
Right. Because they Pickering. Sorry.
I probably know people out there because I know there used to be a league there used to be like at a bar near Brock Road, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that spot. Yeah, I used to play there.
Right.
Yeah, because when I lived in Scarborough, there was you had the York Region Poker League. You could play there, or you could play out in Pickering. And that Pickering used to have a Sunday game. It was like a 135 buy-in, and used to run all day on Sunday.
Yep, that's right.
Sorry, I know all the poker games. That's cool.
I've never played at the CNE one, though. How do you find that?
The CNE game is very, very loose. It's because I play the 2040 or the 2550 game. So there's a 2040 half kill Omaha game, limit Omaha, which is hilarious. You swing very hard in that game. But the one before they had Omaha, they used to have like the 2040 limit game. Because that's all they play at our CNE is the limit. They can only do limit poker. The game was very good. If you know enough on how to play in terms of realizing guys are going to call you down with ace high, so you can just like people try and bluff and they try and like just raise you off hands and things like that, it becomes really profitable. When I started going to the CNE every year to go play there, I used to play the 10-20 game. The 10-20 game used to be the best game to play there, the 10-20 limit game. And then obviously as I went up in stakes, the 20-40 game is where I'll sit. So I'll play today. I'll either play a 20-40 limit game or I'll play the 20-40 Omaha game. And if they open up the 25-50 or 50-100 game, I'll jump in those.
Nice.
Yeah. They're not big games either. Like, I mean, with 20-40, I can sit comfortably with like $1,000 or $1,500 and have a decent stack if you play effectively. So it's not like you're not breaking the bank, and each pot is about $600, $800. So, you know, if you win one, you know, it'll pull you back, or if you win a couple, you get a nice stack.
That would not be the case with no limit, though.
No, that's right. Yeah, when I play 10-20 no limit, I'm sitting down with like, you know, like at least 5,000 or 6,000.
Right.
Like if I go to Fallsview, I'll play the 25-50 no limit game. I'll sit there with 5,000, 10,000.
Hey Roger.
Yo.
Did you guys look at USD CAD?
Nope. I don't trade USD CAD.
Gotcha.
What's going on with USD?
It's about to melt, man.
Oh yes, it is. It's weird though. The structure on the higher time frames is still rangy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too.
I do agree it's melting, but I think for it to melt, you need it to break past like 132,750.
Yep, I have it at 132,700.
Yeah, okay. That's exactly where I'm looking if you want it to melt. Yeah, and if at that point, if it does melt, then yeah, we're going all the way down to probably 132,299.
Yeah, I'm gonna take it a little bit further because you know I'm gonna swing it, so I'm into 1.29.
Oh, okay.
Jeez.
That is huge.
Yeah.
This is so.
Oh, I see what you're doing. You're off the weekly, so you're looking at weekly support, like 129,960 or whatever, like almost 1.30.
Yeah, it just so basically what it just did, man. It completed the a second degree wave to 61.8. So that means it's gonna push to the third wave. You know, and the third wave is way down there.
Oh, okay, okay.
I mean, it's different from when you guys do, but it works.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I can see where the support is, so I can see where that idea would happen.
Down to like 3 to 500? Is that the second degree wave thing?
Yeah, that's your second degree right there, bro. That's you only need to catch 10 pips, so you're good.
Yeah, this still could make sense.
Hi, Ted and Raja. What do you think of UJ Cell's 30-minute break and retest? I probably don't agree with it because gold is being... Yeah, 30-minute is at support. The thing with UJ is you have that 30-minute candle. If you're taking spells with UJ, your stop is probably going to have to be I guess at least at 106,094, and then your take profit could come down to 105,618, but that it does move relatively slow, so it's going to take a bit of time for you to get there. I just see that on the shorter time frames, we're starting to trend up a bit, so it might be difficult for you to get that drop that you're looking for right away. You might have to wait for later on in the morning, like maybe another half hour or so before. Ideally, I would try and enter this trade at 105,900. I think that's probably a safer entry for UJ.
Yeah, I actually agree. I don't see shorts right now. I'm looking at a buy after we pass 106,700.
Mm-hmm.
You're looking at a more favorable bias when you're looking at buys. Because if you look at gold on the weekly and you draw a channel from the bottom, the low, you'd be able to see that gold just hit a top, and now it's rejecting that top. Yeah, I'll share that chart with you.
Sorry, see these questions here. I was watching poker.
That's for the sub-5 thing on YouTube. It's gonna lead me to like another video, another live stream.
Well, there's not really any information. GJ full margin buys. I'd be careful of that. So with GJ right now, you can see this candle here. It may start rejecting. So that's your 30-minute candle. The great thing about this wick here is that what you can say is that this is now probably a very strong zone. So the good thing is with that is now you can say that this is probably a very strong zone. So the idea here is you can then turn around and really map out a nice trade. You can say, okay, I'm going to place my stop loss above this zone, and then I'm going to place my take profit in this area here. And more than likely, this trade will then pop all the way back down to here. So it's a good opportunity. So if you're looking at trades, that would be a good opportunity because of the fact that the next candle may come back into this zone and then continue to go further down. But the idea here is your stop loss up here allows you to have your trade sort of run through this zone. So you might have maybe another bullish candle go up, but it's not going to hit your stop loss because you're above this zone. And then what you might find is then the next candle drops. So if you're looking at trading GJ, that would be sort of an idea in terms of what you want to do with GJ. So as it starts to move, you might have the opportunity. So your stop loss is above this zone, and then your take profit anywhere in here. This is aggro take profit. This would be probably conservative take profit because you're before the zone. Okay, so Ted, how about the area of 128,500? Yeah, I mean, like I said, the idea here is if you mapped out these areas, right? If you map out these zones and now you're taking entries, you have to understand that the momentum now is sort of in this direction here. So a lot of times these zones here aren't going to be really relevant because we're moving down. If we were moving up, they'd be more relevant because of the fact that you may be grabbing liquidity in this area to then go up, right? But if you're not, if we're moving down, chances are we're going to break those zones. The idea behind that is because those areas are for liquidity to go down, right? The areas over here are for liquidity to go back up. And that's sort of how you have to understand that aspect of it. Is, when you look and you see sort of the pair moving, that is what you want to see. Is you want to see that if you have momentum and we're on our way down, where are we going down to? Raquel has once again, your target is right over here as an idea, and that's where my conservative take profit is because it's before the zone, right? And you can see that this area that we have currently right now is a zone, and what you may find is, like I said, we may tap into that a couple times. The idea with the stop loss above that zone is that if this area that we are currently in is indeed a support area, so coming back to this discussion for this area over here, if we do believe that this is a support area, then this candle will then rocket back up to this point over here. And what you can say then is anything above this area here could be a potential buy to this area here. The only thing that I don't like about taking a buy right now is there's nothing to support the consensus of a buy other than a technical piece of information on the chart. And what I mean by that is we know the pound is in the shitter right now. So if you're taking a buy, all you're doing is you're buying exhaustion or you're buying relief. You're not buying something to say that, oh, now the pound is doing well, so it's going to gain strength. All you're doing is you're buying a rejection of an area where people are filling in new orders. Because essentially, if we understand how trading works, is the more demand there is on a particular price, the higher the price will continue to rise. So what's happening right now is when you think about this logically and you're like, I want GJ to drop, GJ isn't going to drop until all the sell orders are in. And that's when they get unloaded, because what happens is people start absorbing those sell orders and taking buys at that point. So let me rephrase that. Because we have this area here that we've marked out, right? So we have this area that we've marked out, and we see that it's in that zone. There are orders being taken in that area, but we don't have any buyers. As we have buyers, that pushes the price down, and people start taking buys at better prices. Okay? So that's what we're looking at. Exhaustion and relief is just when the market can't trend the same way day after day after day after day after day after day after day. And it's the same thing. The market can't trend. You can see here, as an example, all we have to do is look at this chart. Where do we have relief or, exhaustion? Right up over here, right? The market pulled all the way back, and now it's starting to drop again. What's our overall sentiment? Our overall sentiment is bearish. Why? Because what do? We take our left hand, right? This is our left hand, and we put it on our left side of our screen. If we can't touch the chart, then that means that the chart is bearish, right? If we touch the bottom of the screen, that means the chart is bullish, right? Because if stuff is over here, that means that we're trending down. If stuff is over here, that means we're trending up, right? Because we would want to see candles here to show an uptrend. But we don't. We have candles over here, so that's showing a downtrend because the candles are moving eventually to this area over here. Okay, so there you go. If you need to, you can watch the stream over again, and you can then see this part of the stream again. All you have to do is look at the bottom right hand of the screen where it has Raja's time. At the bottom right corner, the very, very bottom right corner of your screen, it says 8:34 a.m. You can then go back into the stream and just move to 8:30 or 8:25 or wherever you think it was important to get ideas. You can then go to those particular timestamps. That's the great part about Raja having his full screen. So Ted, have you entered GJ? No. I took a trade already today. I don't like the way GJ is forming, and I don't like the fact that it's taking this long to move. So I'm not very comfortable with GJ right now. I don't feel that there's any real good opportunities right now, but I'm saying many people are looking at trading and they're saying, well, how would I trade GJ? I've just explained to you how you would trade GJ. If you are aiming for a sell at that point. Can you check what gold is doing? Sure, let's check what gold is doing. Gold is dropping. And it's ranging and it's sort of hanging out. Gold has not broken that support at 494 yet. You need gold to break below 1490 before it's actually a valid move down further. But once again, gold is just having a day of relief, because if you look at the last how many days, gold has trended up. So we can't have gold continue all the way up forever. There has to be a day where we have bearish momentum. And we talked about this earlier, that just because today gold is selling off doesn't mean gold is a sell overall. It just means that we're taking a breather. So there you go. Doesn't gold affect the pound JPY. So let's talk about that for a second. Why would we believe gold is affecting the pound? When the idea or the letters for gold, or how we look at it, is XAU USD. Where in that base pair of USD do we see the pound or the yen? Okay? You have to know the base pair. The base pair of gold is XAU USD. It's not XAU GBP. If you traded XAU pound, then yes, the yen would affect gold if you're trading XAU GBP, which is the pound gold, or gold versus the pound. That's where you would have to look. You wouldn't look at the safe haven. Once again, the safe haven for gold, for JPY, is dependent on the base pair that it's trading with. Think logically. If I'm trading the Aussie dollar yen, how does the pound yen affect the Aussie dollar yen? It doesn't make any sense. The pound is the base currency for GJ. The Aussie dollar is the base currency for the Aussie yen. You have to look at how those currencies are doing, and if people are retreating from those particular currencies into safe havens. You can't say because gold is doing something, the Aussie yen is going to do something. That doesn't make any sense. You have to think logically. Just use your brain. If you were in Australia right now, would you be using US dollars to buy anything in Australia, or would you be using Aussie dollars? Right? So think logically. If you're in the UK, are you using the pound or are you using the US dollar? That's how you have to treat trading. Is where the country is using that dollar, that is where you're going to be doing the base information off of. So really, really be careful and understand that. Now, what you can say is that there's correlations between the safe havens with the US dollar and gold versus the US dollar and the yen, right? Because right now, safe havens are gold and the Japanese yen. So if the dollar is weak, I have to look at base pairs that contain the US dollar, such as gold USD, XAU USD. And I would say, okay, if I believe the dollar is weak, gold should rise. If I believe the dollar is weak, the yen should strengthen. Those are your correlations. That's how you correlate. You don't say, well, because gold is strong, the pound yen is weak. No, you don't say that. That's not a correlation. That's not a correlation. You have to understand how these things work. And there's a lot of videos that Rakil has put on his channel that talk about all this. So my suggestion is watch all those videos over the weekend. And that will help you. Can we say because GBP has been weak, people switch to safe haven gold? No. I just explained that. How can XAU USD be affected by the pound? Like how can the pound affect the US dollar? They're both independent currencies. The Swiss franc is also a safe haven as well. That is correct. You have to just think logically. A lot of the stuff that you do in trading is logic. It's just logic. Like right now we're watching this chart. What was the logic here? What did we explain earlier with the logic here? Right? The logic was this basically became a zone, and once we broke out of the zone, where are we going? This is starting to move down to the initial target over there, right? And where would you place your stop? Above here? Where would you place your take profit? Here, or actually in there? Those are your options, right? Very straightforward, not difficult, but just logical, right? It's just logic. How do you identify that we are ranging or trending? Okay, so what you do is you open up a chart on the higher time frame. And if you see the chart is moving from the top to the bottom, that is a trend. If you see the chart is moving from the bottom to the top, that is a trend. If you see the chart is moving sideways, that is ranging. There you go. That is what you do. Okay? So if you look at gold right now on the 1 hour chart, if I look at gold in the 1 hour chart, can anyone tell me what it's doing right now? On the 1 hour chart. Tell me if it's going up or down or it's ranging. Here's a good idea for you. So look at the chart from August 7th all the way to August right now, currently. Okay? Oh, look, people are figured it out. Ranging. So there you go. There is an example of a ranging chart. Now, if you look at earlier candles from August 7th to August 5th, where would you see? Now it's moving up from August 2nd to August 7th. What was the trend? The trend was up, right? And now we are ranging. So we went up and then we went sideways. So your hour chart on gold looks like this. It starts like this and then it ends like this, right? So this is your bull trend. This is ranging. Okay? Very simplistically, that is what it is.
Put it simple in that when the candles are side by side.
That's it. Okay? I don't see, this is where people make mistakes. Range slightly down. Oh, near support, blah, blah, blah. I don't care about that. All I asked was, what direction are we going? Are we going up, down, or sideways? That's it. Doesn't matter if it's slightly down or slightly up. If I draw, can I draw a box around those candles? Is there a way for me to draw a box around that gold chart? Yes, there is. You would draw a box around from the top. Your top would probably be, at this point, it would be 1508, and your bottom would be 1494. That would be your range. Is ranging and consolidating the same thing? Yes, it is. And you can see even here, if we were to draw a box, this is a good example. Here's range, right? Things are ranging. If this continues to move up and down, then we're going sideways. Once we break out of this, then we're moving down. And if you look on the charts, you can probably identify a lot of times where we have sort of a range, right? We sort of have a range here because we're moving up and down. We don't have a clear direction. Then we have a drop, and then we have a range again. We have a range, we have a push up. So this is what you can do on the weekends. You can look at charts and you can draw these magical boxes. And you can say to yourself, hey, here we are going sideways. We're going sideways here. Oh, oops, wrong one. Let me do this. You know, here we're going sideways. Then we went up, then we went sideways, then we went down, then we went a little sideways, and then we may continue down. Right? That is a very good idea when it comes to understanding.
Juicy is setting up really nicely to drop in the next hour.
Yeah, I took
Oh
a sell.
shit!
I just took a sell on GCAD, and it just fucking flew down.
And there's your target achieved with GJ. Okay, so there's the big arrow pointing down. There you go. So a happy day. And your target where Rakil put his little marker has been hit. But you see now, when we talked about this and we went through it, so I'll map out this chart again. You can see here, this was our little area that we were worried about. This is our next area, right? And we had our stop loss. Our stop loss would have been above here. And our take profit, remember our conservative take profit? Our conservative take profit was right here. Our conservative take profit was there. And then this is the aggro or aggressive take profit, in case people don't know the short form for aggressive. Okay, so there you go. And why did Rakil talk about this being the target? So let's take a closer look and let's see why that was the target. Okay, now when we look, see that candle right there? So if we turn around and let me do this. You see that candle right there? If I turn around now and I extend this out, look where we hit. Okay, so you'll see exactly where we hit in that second section, right? So now you can see why that was the initial target. And what will happen in this area, we will bounce around for a bit and then potentially come down to the next take profit point. That is what you do. So now when you look at this chart and you say to me, well, Ted, I didn't know it was going to pull back. You can say, well, now I know why it was going to pull back, because we had this initial tap into that target region. And why do we look at that? Because it's the closest wick to the left, right? Is there a way to know if New York session will be a reversal at the end of London session? No. Once again, there is no way to determine 100% something is going to happen. Because if we think logically, if 100% of the time something was going to happen, there would be no reason for you to do anything else except that one activity 100% of the time. So if we knew every day the London would reverse 10 pips, if we knew every day London would reverse 10 pips, we could literally all show up at the end of the London session and say, okay, on your marks, get set, go. Take a trade, exit, and you've won. And you could do that for the next 240 days of trading, and you would make a gajillion dollars, because all you had to do would just keep compounding that. You would just be able to show up blindly and say, hey, I know that this is going to reverse today, and I'm just going to make money. Mr. Banker, I need to borrow $10 million because today I'm going to trade the London reversal, and I'm going to make 30 million, and I will pay you back by the end of the day. That's essentially what you are trying to do with the market, and that is the reason why people fail. Okay.
Wow, GBP is melting into the ground.
It is. I wish I could go into the future and see all the future moves and then come back. Well, you'd probably just have to go back once, and then that's it. Like, you wouldn't even need to trade. All you do is go play the lottery. Like, why would you even want to trade? The first thing I'd do if I went to the future is just see the lottery numbers, come back and play the biggest jackpot and win that.
Yeah, that or play with Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I just got out of GJ 128,400.
Very nicely done, sir.
Nice.
I missed the trade because I was too busy talking.
You're ranting.
Yeah, because I was listening, you're talking, and I'm like, wait a minute, this makes perfect sense because it broke support, did a reset, time for it to go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did the same
Some
thing.
wicks.
Yeah.
Time to pull some wicks.
I just
And
saw,
now we're in the aggressive take profit area, so be aware. So when you say you've learned taking trades by losing 100 of the same type, well, I haven't lost 100 of the same type of trades. I think Raja entered above where it rejected that support.
Yeah, my entry was 128,620.
So now you're in the aggressive take profit area. This is where you do not let greed go away. How are we supposed to know that the doji rejected the candle zone was high enough? Well, you don't know that. See, so once again, here's the difference between people that executed and people that were looking for a big sign. So basically what people were looking for was this. And I can show you what they were looking for. So I'm gonna turn around and show you what you were looking for. You were looking for this. You were looking for this big giant sign. Actually, that's not good enough. Let me do this. This is what you were looking for. This is the sign you were looking for. You were saying, that's the sign you were looking for. So you were looking for this flagpole or whatever you were looking for. You were looking for that, and instead of doing that, there's no such thing that will ever give you that. You will never get like something on your chart will not pop up like this. There's no indicator that tells you when to take a sell. The idea here, once again, is to go back into the charts and map out an execution strategy. And that's what I mapped out for everybody. If you're watching, I mapped this out pretty easily. Is because of this wick here, this indecision Joji, we knew that this zone was pretty valid, right? So you as a trader had to determine a risk to reward. So when we go back and we look at this, you had to determine your risk to reward, right? So when we looked at the risk to reward, you had to say, okay, I believe that we're going down because why? Momentum is down. If we do go back up, I have to place my stop loss above this zone because the market can move anywhere in this zone. And where do we believe we're going back to? We are going back to this zone over here, right? So the idea would be, I have to now measure out my risk versus my reward, and I have to execute. And if I do not feel comfortable executing with this risk versus reward, then there is no trade. That is the difference. So if you turn around and you looked at this trade today like I did and just watched it happen and didn't execute, what have you learned? That next time when this idea presents itself, I will take advantage of that. And now you say, well, how can I take advantage of this idea, Ted? Well, let's take a look at what we learned here. We tried to enter before the New York Open. We all basically pretty much got stopped out, or we had small profits. The first candle of 8 a.m., right? What happened? It pulled all the way back up, right? The first 30-minute candle pulled all the way back up, correct? It didn't break this area. So as Rakil said, it sort of, it failed to break that resistance turn support, or that support turn resistance, whatever you want to call it. I don't give a shit. You know what I'm talking about. And Then the next half hour, it started to pull away. Now, the other thing is when you look at how it pulled away, we take a look. This wick here is lower than this wick over here. If you don't believe that we're going down, all you had to do was wait for us to break this support over here, and you would have had a trade with no drawdown at that point. So you had multiple entries. You had this area here, which was your aggressive entry, and this area over here, actually, sorry, not that area. You would have had this area here as your conservative entries, right? So that's what you would have done. Those were the two ideas that you would have had in terms of taking a trade at that point. So hopefully that helps you. So now next time you will be able to execute on that trade a little bit more comfortably. And now at the same time too, if you notice, yesterday's trade was exactly the same thing. It just, today's trade took a little bit longer to run out. That's all. Okay?
Yes. It was exactly the same.
Exactly the same trade. I thought we were gonna have we had the same move. It just didn't happen right away, and it was stupid. I was pissed off about that, but whatever.
Yeah, I think it's done.
Yep, the move is
That's where
done.
you said it would be.
Yep.
Amazing.
Waited 2.5 hours.
Yeah. No, I had a feeling it was gonna drop like that.
Yeah, so did I. It just pisses me off when it does the stupid shit at the beginning.
Yeah, I think it's exactly what we talked about too. Like the main move happened, price consolidated, and then started dumping. This would be a good highlight today.
Very good.
And it's going to be one.
Now you'll notice the number of viewers are going to drop. Either they took the trade and they're leaving, or they became the wick at the bottom.
Gold is dropping as well. There you go. GBP is going down because of Boris Johnson. There you go. Doesn't the market leave clues in terms of big bearish candles, sideways movement, then continuation? It always does. And that's what you hunt.
To that, like what I want to say is, if you look on the dailies filled the wick too. So that's what we waited for. To fill the wick going down, waited for resistance to be formed, and wicks don't last.
That is true. So there you go. But you understand now, this is the trade that you take right here. So this one, this candle here was the trade that you take, right? You don't try and chase this candle now, because the first cut into the zone is the deepest. That's a Sheryl Crow song. If you don't know that song, maybe you should listen to it. It's called The First Cut is the Deepest. It applies the same thing with zones. The first cut into the zone is the deepest. Okay? So if you get there the first time, that is your exit. You don't turn around and wait and say, oh, hopefully it goes deeper. No, the first cut is the deepest, because now we don't know how that next candle is going to react. So it's something to keep in mind.
Yeah, this might be the move for gold.
Yep.
Keep your eye peeled. I was waiting for this, and I was about to take it earlier, but it didn't break my zone.
what made you not take this trade today, Uncle Ted? Because I was explaining how to trade it. So it's sort of hard for me to talk about it when I wasn't really focused on it. And I also took a trade before. So that's all. I'm not worried. I'll catch another one. So, tomorrow's another trade, so it's okay.
I know there's always a next trade. Trust me, the market's not going anywhere.
Ted, you are the goat. Thank you. Is that a goat sound or a sheep sound?
Hey man, I saw a meme yesterday with a spider biting Spider-Man.
Oh yeah.
Then Tom Brady getting bit by a goat, and then they're like, "Oh, that explains it." That's hilarious.
What's my opinion on USD CHF? I don't trade that pair, so sorry, I can't give you. And the reason why I say I can't give you an opinion on that because I don't know the characteristics of USD CHF, so I would not be able to give you a valid idea. The reason why I can speak highly of GJ or gold or UJ is because I understand the characteristics. I don't just necessarily look at the technicals, but I also know their tendencies. How fast do they move? What types of moves do they give you? How often do they respect a certain level? How hard do they drive to zones? Like, that's the kind of information I have on each of the pairs that I trade. I don't necessarily say, oh, well, because there's a zone over here, this pair is going to go to that zone. I don't know that for sure because I haven't seen that enough. So that's the reason why I don't give information about other pairs that I don't trade, because I don't have enough information to give a valid idea. What are some characteristics of GJ? I gave you the characteristics of GJ. It moves very fast into a zone and pulls back. Let's see. I'm still bullish on gold. Think 1490 were still good entries. Yeah, probably. I mean, if you're looking long term, I don't see the reason why gold will be dropping, but we'll see what happens. I think I answered all the questions. Yeah.
I think for people to rewatch the stream, they should be charged like $10 because there's a lot of information.
I think it would be good to have people just watch yesterday's stream. Like, that should be the focus of, like, when people come into today, they should have watched yesterday's stream. Like, that should be a prerequisite. Like, that should be something that maybe we highlight right at the beginning of the day. Like, did you watch yesterday? So did you catch some of the information from yesterday? Because, I mean, I don't want to sound like an asshole, but I repeat myself for the last 6 months. Like, my ideas or my teaching hasn't changed. I just keep getting the same questions asked every single time, and it's sort of monotonous. I mean, I don't care. I'll keep answering them because it makes me sound like a genius, but really I'm not a genius. I'm just regurgitating what I already know. I'm not saying anything new. Are you usually unable to enter trades when you explain them live? No, it's just I already had a trade, and this one I decided I didn't want to take. I was too busy drawing on the screen. Like, it's just my personal preference. I decided, like, hey, I took a trade. I won a trade already today. I'm okay with not taking another trade. Like, it was one of those things. The other day when I took the trade, I still talked about it, and I did it live. It was the same thing.
oh, you know what's going to be hilarious? That before people enter a stream, I think you talked about this, that they'll need to answer 10 questions. And if they get more than 2 wrong, you can't enter the stream.
Yeah, exactly.
IPM.
Is there a way to do that? Is there a way on YouTube to say, like, you have to answer this survey before you come in? Because that would be a very good thing, because people will be like trying to figure out what the questions are, and then you know what, you get people that would get like 80% or above, and then at least you know that their knowledge would be there. And then like people that didn't, it would just be saving them time, because then they would realize like, hey, this is probably a little too advanced for me. I need to go learn a bit and then come back and do more.
Or they'll start messaging their friends. Hey, what's the answer to number 2?
That's it. I mean, it sounds funny and we laugh about it, but I mean, from all honesty, when you come here and you don't have a very good, or you don't have a strong background in what we're doing, it just puts you in a bit of a deficit even more, because now you're seeing things play out and you think that trading is very easy. And you're like, oh wow, like these guys just win trade after trade. And it's like, there's people asking me questions like, how did you map out that zone? How did you map out that target? Why did you know this? Why did you all do that? And that's something that I shouldn't have to answer. Like, you should have seen targets. You should already know how to place stop losses. You should already know how to do, like your take profit points. Like, you should know all that stuff before you come here. This stream is really to help you say, hey, I took a trade today, or I'm entering a trade. This is my chart. What do you think of my execution? Is there something that I can improve upon, or does this make sense for what I'm doing, right? Like, that's exactly what you want to try and do. Let's see. Just change the general information about the live stream. Live New York session hosted 6:30. Ask questions, post chart. Yeah, but we do that. People don't listen. It doesn't matter what, like, you look at the top row, it scrolls across. Hosted by Forex Family. These streams are for education only. Don't say look at this or that. Post a labeled chart with your entries and exits. we say that all the time. It doesn't matter. People still don't ask stuff. They still don't ask the right questions, and it's just because people believe that all trading is about execution and just how much money can I make today, right? And that's the reason why those signal services exist. It's because people are just chasing money, and when you chase money, you will never be successful trading, and that's the problem. And if you have friends that are trading, if you work in a group that's trading, your mantra for trading should be, I'm not chasing money. I am enjoying this process. And if you don't enjoy trading in terms of the ideas behind it, you don't have the passion for it, I'm sorry, but you have to quit trading. It's not going to be for you, and you're just going to run yourself into the ground, because you may think you have a passion for trading, but the problem is it's more about chasing the money, and you don't want to do that. Sorry, so you always look at 30-minute as a basic. Well, 30-minute gives you a good idea. The other reason why we look at a 30-minute is because most trades are within a range, and we're taking trades that last maybe 10 or 15 minutes. So usually a couple of 30-minute candles will give you that idea, but your base information usually comes from your higher time frames. So yeah. I don't know how you put up with the same questions every day. I mean, it is what it is. It's just, Rakeel, I know Rakeel and we sit and joke about this, but it's like, once you do this long enough, all it comes down to risk management and taking 1 or 2 trades a day, and the money just sort of piles in. And it sounds stupid, but after a couple of years of doing this, and this is the reason why a lot of people have hated me in the past or hate me currently, is because when they unlock the ability to do this every day, they turn around and say, Ted, what you taught me was very basic, and I didn't, and this is all that trading was. I feel ripped off. And it's like, well, what did you expect it was supposed to be? And the thing is, you turn around and as people get better, the same thing will happen here. I guarantee you within a year, there'll be other YouTube streams, there'll be other free streams out there with the people that were in these groups learning, because they're like, hey, Raja and Ted don't know anything. I'm better than they are. And it's like, okay, cool, like do your thing. But it usually always happens that way because the ego takes over, and people turn around and they just think that now they're better than the next person. And I've never thought that, and it's the reason why I've always tried to keep a good group together, because you can always learn from somebody something new. Like I learned a lot from Raja learned a lot from me, and we just help each other. I mean, I don't there's no benefit for me to come on this stream. I could trade every day by myself, but it's fun to come here, answer questions. You know, we have a good time, we joke around, you know, we win trades together, we lose trades together. You know, that's sort of the camaraderie. It has nothing to do with ego. You know, I could make my own stream tomorrow and put Ted Don't Lie on YouTube, and I could have, you know, 300 viewers too, but that's not who I am as a person. This is Raja's project. Raja always does this, and I always point everybody to Raja because that's his thing. It's not my thing. Where are my live trades? My live trades are here every day, and then I post what I did on my Instagram. Yeah, so we took a few trades today. I think people took GJ sells. I think that was the trade of the day today.
Yes.
So many people took GJ sells.
If you look on the 15-minute candles, 15 minutes started going bearish. This is the daily wick that we were talking about.
Nope, there are no trades. The trades were taken already and they were closed because we talked about that. So Iron Man trading, if you go back to the stream at about 8:30, I break down a full trade, and I give you your take profit, your stop losses, and all those were hit. I'm going to copy your trades, buddy. I don't think you want to. I think you want to try and do your own trading, but use the information here to apply to other trades.
One of the things I've learned is like I used to just look at certain charts, and I know you guys look at every chart except for the minute, and I've gotten better at flipping between 5 minutes, and I never used to use 15 minutes. I never used to use half an hour. I never used to use 4 hour. And there's a lot of information on those charts. There's information in every chart.
Yes.
So I'm flipping back and forth, being able to be more, I guess fluid is the right word, as far as, you know, getting each chart's information a little bit on the fly.
Yeah, and it's good that way. When you turn around and you know you do flip flip charts. I mean, it takes a little bit of getting used to, but when you do that, you can start to recognize that, hey, at around like say 8:55 a.m. as an example, we're starting to pull back on the 5-minute chart. I might want to exit here. Or how is that pullback related to my hour chart? My hour chart is still bearish, so this is just a candle pulling back to then continue in the next hour. So when you start correlating those different time frames together, it becomes easier to trade because it becomes one big story.
Absolutely. I mean, I adjusted my my menu and took those things off. I took off 15. I took off half an hour. I took off 4 hour. I was like completely just trading on certain ones because that was what I was taught in a different different era. But now, you know, everything has meaning in terms of each chart.
Well, I think, and to your point exactly, is as trading evolves, and this is what I talk about similar to poker, as ideas evolve and as information gets disseminated and it gets a little bit stronger in terms of how we use it and the people that are using it and sort of the references that we get, the dynamics behind trading adjust. A lot of people used to say, you know, swing trading is the only way to trade, scalpers will never win. And it's like, well, you know what? Scalpers are starting to win more because of the volatility in the market. You can turn around and take a trade that runs 10 or 20 or 30 pips, where when there's no volatility in the market, yes, a swing trade is very valid because of the fact that you can gain more pips and it moves a little bit slower. But if you're able to dissect a 30-minute chart, an hour chart, and you're able to put those ideas together, you can still do the same amount of damage that you would on a swing trade, maybe not to the same degree, but you'll still get a nice percentage. The issue that swing traders have with scalpers is they believe scalpers are constantly just entering and exiting the market, trying to grab every direction, up, down, sideways. It's what I've always done with myself is I've morphed those two ideas. Is I look from a swing trade perspective on where the trend is going, and I try and take a percentage of that piece of that market. Because it's the same thing with poker, right? Like if we play a poker hand together and I say, okay, I have the absolute best hand. I have on the end, the 5 cards are dealt on the end, I have the best hand. And I still have my opponent in with me at the end. If you think logically, if I push all my chips into the middle and I say I'm all in and I have the best hand, you know that your opponent doesn't have the best hand. They're going to look at you and be like, well, I don't have a good hand. I have to fold. And then you've lost out on the opportunity to extract chips from that person, right? So now you take a step back and you say, okay, what is the strength of my opponent's hand? Maybe they have 2 pair, maybe they have 3 of a kind, maybe they have a smaller flush, maybe they have a straight. And if I'm able to identify, not to the perfect degree, but to a very logical sequence, I can then put in a bet where they're going to call my bet, and I'm going to make money. Where if I had pushed all in, they wouldn't give me anything. But if I put a little bet in, they're going to pay it off because they're going to be like, hey, I have the odds, or maybe I don't think he has the actual hand that he actually does, and you make a little bit of extra money. So now when you look at trading is the same idea. If I believe the trend is bullish, and I believe that there's a range of 10 or 20 pips that I can get in that bullish trend of, say, maybe 100 pips. Like if we look at gold right now, gold's ranging between 1490 and 1510. But I believe that the trend is bullish. If I can always try and extract money on the bullish trend, I have a higher probability of winning in the long term than if I try and counter trend that and say, oh, well, gold's dropping today, so I'm going to take sells. But I don't have to take the entire trend. I just have to take a percentage of that where it's in my favor. So like when gold trends really hard and it goes up, maybe all I need is 2 15-minute candles and I get 30 or 40 pips, and then I'm done. But what I've done is I've reduced my risk because now I'm out of the market and I've taken the money from it.
It's amazing how much like poker trading is.
Yeah. It's the reason why my risk management is the way it is, because I've been playing poker since I was 18, and I learned all the dumb mistakes playing poker then, instead of trying to learn it trading. Problem with scalpers is it's very hard to be accurate. Not necessarily. It's hard to be accurate when you're trying to dissect noise, but once you remove the noise, it's actually pretty straightforward. Like I said, the problem with scalping and the sort of the rhetoric behind scalping is people think that all we're doing for the next 3 hours is trying to take trades over and over again, and we've taken 200 trades in the last hour and we've won 50% of them and lost 50%. It's like, no, you find one good idea, you trade it, and you come back the next day. Yes. Is that idea maybe not 100 pips deep? Correct. But what you have here is you have either a win in one day or a loss in one day. Where a swing trade can take 2 weeks to form, another 3 days to execute, and then another 3 days to find out a result. So once again, if you compare poker to trading, if you scalp, you're like a cash game player. You sit down with a bunch of cash, you make you play your hands, you win some money, you leave at any time. When you're a swing trader, you're a tournament player. So you enter the tournament with 10,000 other people, and you have to play for 3 or 4 days, navigate 3 or 4 days of the charts, hope that the chart continues in your direction, and then you get paid out. Is the opportunity to get paid out greater in a in a swing trade? Of course. But you have to get to the final stages, where a scalper can play the same cash game over the next 3 days and still make a decent amount of money and just do their thing the rest of the day. Because that's usually what happened to me. When people ask me why I scalp instead of swing trade, it was the same thing when I played poker. Am I a good tournament player? Yes, I'm a very good tournament player. I think I won 6 tournaments in the last 20 years that I've played in Vegas and in Toronto and stuff like that. But what bothered me was like, man, I play for a whole day, have to wake up the next day, play for another whole day, and then finally the third day you get to the end and you're like, now there's like 15 people left, 10 people get paid, and you're like near the bubble, and it's like you've played for 2.5 days and you're still not in the money, where it's like last place on the prize list is like $3,000. It's like, man, for the last 3 days I could have gone and played a cash game and I could have made $500, $600 a session, played for 4 or 5 hours, had the rest of my day to myself and made money. And now it's like I'm still not making money yet, and I'm on the third day of playing this tournament. Yes, the top prize is 100,000. You're like, oh, if I win 100,000, but it's sort of like, what are your odds of winning 100,000, right? So you sort of have to balance that out.
One thing that you said, Ted, that really stuck with me for scalping is that you don't want to be in this market. Like, all the manipulation, like I want to get in and get out. I don't want to be holding trades for days and then all of a sudden something might happen and just fundamentals kicks in.
Yeah.
All the manipulation and stuff, that's so scary. I don't want to be in this market. I don't have money just floating around. Get in, get out.
Yeah, so I mean, it's just, there's always an opportunity, and when you look at trades, and you have to determine what makes the most sense for you.
So this is why I say that the market makers can't see your stop, because if you look at the sell I took on GJ, you can see where I entered. My stop was above the candle. So if the market makers could see my stop, they would have said, oh look, Raja just entered a sell, so let's stop him out. But they can't see my stop because that's a myth. Just like saying, oh hey, the one-eyed monster is going to come at night if you don't go to bed early. There's no one-eyed monster. So
okay, yeah, sorry Raquel, go ahead.
Yeah, and then my trade ran 20 pips, perfect. So market makers can't see your stops.
Yeah, let me talk about this, and I talked about this yesterday, is market makers can't see your stops because all they see is flow. They see buys and they see sells. All they see is orders in buys and orders in sells. Now, if you want to go into the idea of market makers and liquidity providers, can they push you out? Probably, because what they look at is they'll look at, well, we have 10,000 sell orders and we have 10,000 lots of sell orders, so that's the volume. So I own a brokerage, full disclosure. When we see our bridge, like I can go onto my bridge right now, I do not see anybody's orders. I don't see Raja's orders. I don't see whoever's trading on my brokerage. I don't see their orders. I see the volume in what's going through. So sometimes I laugh because when we take trades here, I see a spike in volume for a particular pair, right? So there's a volume increase. So like GJ will go from like 100 lots or 1,000 lots to like 3,000 lots. But we don't see where people are placing their stops or where people are placing their take profits. All we see is direction, right? But the problem is when you look at that flow, it's aggregated. So you have both buy side and sell side. So you have people buying GJ and you have people selling GJ. So the question remains, if they're going to hunt you, how do you hunt the flow? Which side do you do? Because if you push the buy side out, the sell side wins. If you push the sell side out, the buy side wins. That is the problem when you have a brokerage that actually gets flow from a liquidity provider. You will see that you can't win on that. Now, if you have a corrupt broker that does not have liquidity and all they're doing is buying a price feed, which you can do, you can just buy a price feed, then yes, they could sit there and hunt you out all day because they don't care. There's no flow. There's no flow at all. So that's the difference. So when you see this stuff on the internet that people have written or videos that have been made, it's because they have had access to just one aspect of a brokerage. they did not have they did not have access to a full brokerage. Because I guarantee you, you call any of other brokerage owners, get them on the phone, first of all, you won't be able to. Second of all, ask them these questions. They're not obligated to answer any of this. I've answered this because I don't give a shit. The brokerage for me has always been a cash cow. I make money on the middle, the commission. The more you trade, the more money I make. It's in my best interest to make sure you make as much money as you can, because the more money you make, the bigger lot sizes you trade, the bigger my commissions are, and the more money comes into my pocket. It makes no sense for me to have you lose trades, because when you blow your account, you don't come back, and now I've lost a client. I don't make money on losing clients. There's no point. If you deposit $100, I need you to build that account up so that you continuously trade and you collect, and I collect commissions. Once you leave my brokerage and you exit, I don't make money off you. And that's what people fail to realize. And then people say, well, you can B-book. There's no benefit to B-booking, because if one of you turns around and runs a $5,000 account up to $500,000, who's on the hook for that money? I am. There's no benefit to that. I like to sleep well at night. When Sean Lee ran his account from $5,000 to $600,000, didn't bother me at all. Liquidity paid for. Banks paid for him. When he blew his account, didn't bother me at all, because I didn't get any of that money. We paid whatever we pay, and that's the reason why we can continuously pay every day with no issues, because I don't have to B-book anybody. I want you all to win, and that's why I sit on these streams and give you winning trades or try and help you, because hey, if you can learn how to trade good, I have a whole bunch of beast traders in my brokerage that's very small, and I can just make a ton of money. Sean said there was a spike that he couldn't see on another platform. No, there was a spike because we work on London close, not on New York close, and he knew that. And we told him that when he called us, and we spoke to him, and he said, oh, it's all good.
God damn, go push, go push. That's how he broke his account, blew his account tabs, the spikes.
Yeah, he was entering GJ at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon on Eastern time, and then at 5 o'clock, when there's normal rollover for the U.S. session, spreads widened and he had a stop loss.
Okay.
Like, it was so stupid.
but everyone knows that.
Well, no, apparently he doesn't. And that's why he came out and made that stupid fucking video, and he started trashing my brokerage, and I messaged him. I said, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? We discussed this in full, and you said you were okay with it. You didn't realize because you were too high. Your other buddy was trading the wrong side of the market and putting stops in the wrong places, and then messaging me saying, why was he getting stopped? And it's like, dude, did you see you took a buy instead of a sell? Oh man, I'm high. I don't realize that.
I remember that.
Trust me, I have a lot of stories about people that have tried to say that my brokerage has done this and brokerage has done that. They say it because it makes them look good. I know the truth.
Who is that? The guy Sean Lee or whatever?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought it was. What happened to that guy that was King of Gold and he went to Asia to get the body tap?
King of Gold.
What happened to him?
Dimitri?
I don't know.
Gold mines guy?
I think so. Ted knows what I'm talking about.
No. Which guy?
King of Gold.
He went to Asia and he got the body tap.
What?
Oh.
An Asian guy with body fat?
No, not body tap. Body tattoo. He went to Asia for a body tattoo. He tattooed his own body.
Oh.
That guy, yeah. Whoever posted that in the chat. XAU King.
Oh, okay,
Gold
yeah.
King. Yeah, he disappeared. He had his run. He ran his account up and then blew it and then disappeared.
Okay.
There's lots of people who have done that. They've run their accounts up and then they've disappeared.
There's a story that he's living in Colombia now.
Okay.
Really? So people run their accounts way up and then start trading like 100 lots and then literally blow it in a few days.
Yep.
Tons of stories.
That's
Tons
crazy.
of stories.
Tell them the story.
There are. I see it all the time. People, they just run their accounts up. I've watched guys just run accounts up from like $500 to 20,000 on our brokerage and then lose it the next day.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
They don't believe in the withdrawal method.
Nope.
Yeah, you gotta play it like a casino. You gotta withdraw the clean money.
Yeah.
Even if you withdraw your original profits, you won't feel bad. I mean, your original deposit, you won't feel bad if you blow it.
Yeah. How do you know you're on the right side of the market? You don't. It's your plan.
Exactly.
I don't know how you're on the right side of the market.
So, Mr. Clay's here.
Fuck.
Oh shit. Clay
God
is.
damn, man. Gold didn't do what I wanted to. Now it's dropping again. Fuck.
I think it did that retest.
Yeah, I'm trying to get sales, but I wanted to push a little bit more.
Yeah, gold's acting funky today.
Yep. Yeah, I think a lot of people will always come in and be disgruntled because they've had they've read stuff on the internet and they've read stuff about brokerages, but they've never actually either worked in a brokerage or own a brokerage or actually spoken to somebody inside a brokerage that actually has knowledge. They've just gotten rhetoric from sort of the internet, and that's legitimate. I mean, it's a legitimate idea, and I mean, it's a legitimate concern, and I do agree that there are a lot of bad brokerages out there, but to paint everybody with the same brush and to say that everybody does this, it's stupid. Like, for me to sit here and say, you know, for people to sit here and argue with me and say, oh, Ted, your brokerage stop hunts people. Like, you realize what I would have to do. I would have to literally get my staff to sit in front of in front of the server, basically our screen where we have all our orders, pick out accounts all day and sit there and try and meddle with them. And then what happens is, if people start getting stop hunted in my brokerage and other people start to find that that's happening, all my clients leave. So if I keep continually attacking my clients and giving them a bad trading experience, how long would my firm stay above water in terms of staying open, right? I would lose clients by the droves. Instead, I'm getting clients by the droves. I'm expanding. I'm actually opening up other operations because I can't handle the capacity that I'm at, because people realize, they're like, hey, this guy just runs a brokerage. He's just the middleman. You know, he takes his profits off the commission. Great. He gets paid. I get paid, right? And I think that's people have to start realizing is, you can read a lot of articles now that a lot of other brokerages have realized this as well. And I was the first one to figure this out way back because I'm a trader, is treat your clients good, make sure deposits and withdrawals are good and easy, and make sure that you're not hurting them and you're trying to help them in every way possible to succeed in trading, and more money flows in. The days of being a bad broker are done. The bad brokerages are getting crushed, because now people are starting to catch on because all the information on the internet. You can't compete. You need to have good clients. You need to have your loyal clients, and you need to be loyal to them. Obviously, I'm not going to give away money, but I'm always going to, if we have an investigation, we always investigate a trade. We send it to our liquidity provider. They give us the result. We give the information back. We always correct things if we're at fault. We own up to everything. If there's a problem on our end, we fix it. We don't turn around and be like, oh, tough luck. But we're fair, and that's how we expect to be treated in return. And that's the reason why in the last 2 years the brokerage has grown like 1,000,000%, because people realize that. They're like, hey, these guys run a clean shop, and when I want a withdrawal, I can get a withdrawal. When I make a deposit, it goes through. Like, I'm going to trade comfortably. I'm not going to have like stupidity, and if there's something I have to question, I get answers,
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like brokerage gets mad when you blow your account because they want you to trade with them long term, not short term.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they make more money in the long term.
Yep.
Like, they don't want to take you out of the game. They want you to hopefully be in the game as long as you can.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, the FBI's joined the stream.
Great.
Awesome.
Oh, hey Clay, how you doing?
Good, guys. How you doing?
Good, good. Yeah, we were having a discussion on like how the market makers can't see your stops. So.
Oh, is this Iron Man?
Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, hey, welcome.
Thanks, guys. I've never done this before, so I'm
That's good. No, it's cool. Welcome. We always enjoy conversations, so it's good.
So I've been trading live for 2 years for a living, and I learned from one of the bank traders. Sat down with them and learned from one of the guys that pushes the buttons at banks. For me, it's just it's not necessarily that they see your stops. It's just that, and your guys' charts are beautiful, by the way. Just so you know, I don't use any indicators on mine. I think they're the most worthless thing in the world, and that's what I mean by that. I think they use those against the retail traders.
Yes.
I think they know where they're putting their stops based on Fibonacci's or based on, they're like, well, it's a 61.8 Fibo. I'm like, well, it's going to hit Fibo eventually. There's like 15 of them. I mean, you could say, well, it hit this Fibo. Well, yeah, there's one every 10 pips. That's true. So I think they use that, and they're like, okay, well, these people are going to have their stops right above the 61.8 Fibo, and they'll use that information. You see the spikes all the time. I'm looking at this Euro Yen. I call them wicks, right? Top wicks.
Yep.
And the bottom ones are tails. You see those spikes all the time, and that spikes are getting wow. That spike ended up getting people out and then going the other way. To me.
Yeah, and that's usually what a zone is, and that's sort of what we've talked about as well. Is institutions always want the best order possible, and if you're in that frame of mind, and that's sort of what we talk about here daily, is if you're in the frame of mind of where are the institutions looking to place the best orders possible, and obviously we know institutions don't just want 10 pips. So when you're talking about scalping versus swing trading, that's exactly it. The great thing about that is, and just from my experience in working with our brokerage that I own, and I also own a hedge fund, is depending on the type of trading that you're doing is the type of flow that you're going to get. Yeah. So there are institutions that don't want you to scalp because the background behind how flow is created. Flow is created based on the balance sheets of banks. Banks are looking to hedge their balance sheet with Forex risk, and that's why they take orders. And as you move upstream and you move to prime of prime and a prime broker, they are taking orders, but they have a certain risk allocation that they can accept. The reason why orders, quote unquote, get stopped or hunted, it's because the risk on the balance sheet is not balanced. And what I mean by that, so as an example, like my hedge fund does high frequency trading. On a brokerage, you're not allowed to do high frequency trading. Right. No retail brokerage will allow you to do high frequency trading. A prime of prime will allow you to do high frequency trading. So if you're a professional trader and you have access to prime of prime or prime bank, you can use any strategy you want. You have to disclose a strategy, and you can make as much money as you want. So
that's like the Big Short movie when they want to go in and they want to get their whatever and trade with the banks. Those two little guys, they want that's exactly what you're talking about. You're getting the prime. You're getting the prime thing. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you move to prime of prime, you're basically getting the order book. So at that point, you're basically pricing in your own orders. You don't get a price, you price your own, and the spread and everything else is a lot cheaper, right? So when you pay for flow, it goes cheaper as you go higher up the stream. But the thing is, at the same time, you have to have more money to play with because obviously they want you to have 20, 30 million. So what ends up happening is the orders, as they go through the flow, they have to balance out that risk. So when you're trading as a swing trader, banks love that. Banks love swing traders because of the fact that they can hedge that risk all day. Because of the fact that if you're swing trading, you're holding a trade for a week or two. They don't like scalpers because you get into the market so fast that they don't have an opportunity to hedge that risk. And what happens is they end up taking hits on their balance sheet, and that's where they have to then drive the market in a certain way to get a proper order to eliminate that hedge, right? Because a bank will turn around and say, okay, dump X amount of orders into the market so that we can now control that part of the market. And that's where, like you said, when the market moves above, like, say, I always look at a daily level or a 4-hour level as probably institution level or even a weekly level, because they'll push it all the way up to get the best possible price and then drive the market the other way. You're not usually getting stop hunted on like a 5-minute chart or like a 15-minute chart, because unless you're at like a daily or weekly level with that particular time frame. But yeah, I do agree with that. Yeah.
I always, the first thing I do when I go into the market every day is I go right to my 4-hour chart. That's my go-to chart.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to draw my support and resistance lines with my red line, just because I want to be focused on those levels. And then I will scale down to the 15-minute chart to get my entries. It's always based on support and resistance off a 4-hour daily chart.
That's right.
And the reason I say, I guess the only reason I say 15-minute chart, I just think it's too much. For me personally, and if it works for other people, that's awesome. For me, it's just too much noise.
Yeah, agreed.
And I have to be so accurate. I'd rather look at a higher time frame. And so when I'm doing a nice swing trade, I'm looking, obviously in the market, right? You want to buy low and sell high. I mean, traders don't understand that, but it's true. I mean, in a housing market, in any of the markets, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes sense. So instead of $5 contracts on with 30 stop loss, I'm going to use those 5 contract levels of support. And so I'm going to put one contract on, and then if I have to buy more as it goes against me, I'm going to wait for that swing. That's just, I don't have to be as active. I guess for me, and it's not going to work for someone. I don't have to be active.
Yeah, so we'll tell you a story about that. So when I started trading about 4 years ago, I have 13 years of institution experience before that. We always worked off just a 4-hour time frame, and we applied that same concept, because usually your higher time frames give you the best trend, right? Because obviously if you're on a 4-hour time frame, it's very hard for that candle to switch direction, or a daily time frame. It's very hard for that candle to switch direction when it's in trend, unless there's a monumental event that happens and pulls you all the way back. So we would trade just off the 4-hour time frames using the same concepts. But what we found and what we started to realize is, as we started to dive into the smaller time frames, that we could apply the same sort of ideas, but be a little bit more selective in where we applied those ideas. So exactly what you said is exactly what we used to do, because the 4-hour and the daily gives you so much more forgiveness, right? Because if you turn around and you take a trade out, you take a buy on the 4-hour, and the 4-hour candle sort of flexes back and forth and it moves, you know that eventually once the 4-hour candle starts moving in the bullish direction, you're going to get like a size amount, you're going to get a sizable gain off of that trade. And that's what we used to do as well, because like you said, the daily, the 4-hour, the weekly are very forgiving, right? Like when you see a top wick on a weekly and we have bearish momentum, you're going down. When are you going down? You don't know. But if you're just watching the weekly chart, chances are by the end of the week, you're going to be down.
Right. Yeah. And you have to trade it. You have to trade it with deeper stop losses too. If you're doing a 30 pip stop loss on a 15-minute chart, you better have a 100 pip stop loss on a 4-hour, because you're going for more.
That's exactly it, and that's the biggest concept people don't understand. It's the toughest concept for people to learn, is that if you're going to trade off a 15-minute chart, you're not going to get a 100 pip move.
No.
Right, but that's the thing. People don't get that, and then that's where the confusion takes place. But yeah, you're exactly right. Where as you go into the higher time frames, your stop losses have to widen based on, like you said, above those particular wicks or those zones, so you don't get stopped out. Yeah, no, that's perfect. It's good to hear another trader. This is awesome.
And I always tell people, if you're trading, let's just say you're selling, and you place your stop loss right at a major resistance level, you're stupid. You have to place it 30 or 40 above that line, because a lot of times, as you see on this chart, they'll spike it above, get people going long, and then they'll drop it. So I call it, we call it stop hunting, whatever you want to call it. It doesn't matter, but you can't place your stop loss right at a resistance level.
That's right.
Dumbest thing you can do. And then on a 15-minute chart, I would imagine it's 15 or 20 pips. Again.
Yeah, and the thing is too, you also have to keep in mind, and this is something that we employ, the strategy that we use, is a support or resistance line is not a definite. It's not a make or break. It's more of when we approach that area, it's an area of caution that you have to say, okay, something could happen at this point. And that's the other mistake people make is they draw a support and resistance line. They're like, exactly what you said. Oh, I put my stop right above this resistance and that'll be fine. It's like, no, because that area could flex 15 or 20 pips either direction. So you have to be aware of that. So yeah, it does make sense. So yeah.
So is this the US CAD here that you have up here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and this is a 15-minute chart?
1 hour.
Okay, so if you look at, I always do the wicks, right, and the tail to the bottom. So I look at the top, I guess, I don't even know what the date is on that. The very top of that red candle, and it has a wick at the top.
The 7th, it looks like July, August 7th.
Yeah, the one you're, I think you're, no. Well, the big green one.
You can annotate if you want.
Perfect. Can I? I don't know. I have no idea. I'm
yeah. The options.
Yeah, just go to the options.
My 16-year-old kid does this for me. Go back to the other chart real quick. So that 15, this is the pattern that I've learned, and you're highlighting it right there. Those wicks right there. Every time that wick is longer than the body, or right at the same, and you can back test this. I back test it, and I do more futures right now because Forex, as you guys know, in July and August is pretty slow. But if you back test this and you go to those wicks, it will go the opposite direction 80 to 90% of the time. And so if you go down to the bottom one, like you have the green circle, you go down to the bottom one where it has the one on the bottom there. Left, right there, yep. Look at that one. And if you can time that with support level on the
it sounds like your mic is dying.
Oh, is it dying? Hold on a second. Is that better? It might be dying.
Keep talking a little bit.
Oh, so yeah. So if you do that, you do that wick, it goes the opposite direction. If you do that, the one right now, it should go down. But I back tested that strategy and it's about 80 to 90% accurate. That it will go the opposite direction of the tail, longer than the body of it.
Yeah, mic is really dying. Sounds like you're far away.
Hold on, let me fix it. And if you guys let me know your broker, I can tell the people
Yeah, we don't allow U.S. clients.
Well, that's a wrap.
Yeah. Tony Stark has left the building. Iron Man.
Hopefully is that better?
Oh yeah, it's better.
Yeah. I just had to switch I had to switch. Sorry, but I have people that are outside the United States. So if you put in their broker in that little channel there, I'll recommend that they sign up. What's your guys' broker? What's the broker's name?
Oh, my broker. I'll type it to you in the Zoom chat here. That's
good. Yeah, that sounds good.
I don't like to promote it because it's just something that this stream is more for education than sort of sales.
Promote the heck out of it, man. Don't worry about it.
Okay, now like the way how I understand is that let's say when price is at major zones, that's where a lot of people are going to try to like, let's say price came down to a very high
so
support,
that
right?
You have that tail that you just went to right there.
Yeah, so like a lot of people are going to try to take buys from here, right? Mm-hmm. And then price is going to keep falling, and then they're going to turn around and say, okay, like, you know what, our stocks are being hunted. But the regular way that's not being done is, like, let's say if price is heading towards support, why not just ride that move all the way down to support rather than try to catch the opposite trade?
But if you go back to that tail that you have your little cursor on right now, or you had it on, and then you go to the left where it hit before and has those same tails, I can take that trade when that tail hits that area because I have that information on the left.
Yes.
Because most of the time I have to wait for the 15-minute candle to close and then do it, but because that has already happened before, once that tail hits that, I'm in. I don't have to have any other information.
Yeah, that's like a first touch and instant reversal.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So yeah, it was previous resistance now becomes support.
Yeah.
It's funny. It sounds like you watched market fluidity.
I don't have it. You could tell me what that is, and I have no idea what you're talking about. I know what the candles are. I'm a candlestick person.
Yes, same here. Love candles.
those fancy definitions to me, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Nick,
How
we don't
old
know
are
what
you?
you're talking
You're in your
about.
40s?
I'm 42. I got 5 kids. A wife. No.
Yeah, I'm almost 40 as well, so we have the same mentality. It's like, yeah, I don't know anything about those patterns and shit like
Seriously,
that.
man, I'm old.
Yeah, so am I. Yeah.
I get my 16-year-old to do everything for me. I'm like, I don't know how to do this. Can you fix my volume? I understand candles though.
No, Market Fluidity is Rakil's DVD that he put out, and you're basically saying all the stuff we go off of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because like if you can't understand or read candles, you can't trade.
No, your charts are beautiful. I mean, I love this chart. My chart, I have nothing but candlesticks on there.
Yeah.
I don't have any indicators because I just think that they're, first of all, they're lagging, as you guys know, and so I just, by the time those indicators.
Is it me? We lost him again. Oh, okay, I thought it was just my Wi-Fi connection. Who is this guy anyways?
He's from YouTube chat.
He's not a new trader, but he's new to us.
Oh, okay.
It's a shame his sound is fucking up because he's he's saying some interesting stuff.
Very far, man. Very far.
Just jump on, connect through your iPhone, man. You must have an Android.
Well, I have an
Oh, that's what it is.
That's what it is.
No, but I'm on my.
That must be a Windows.
Window. It must be a window.
Jeez.
I've been doing more. I'm doing fun.
I got my gold cells, man.
Yeah, I'm in buys from 14.
Now
Wow.
So I'll onto those.
Got my gold cell 20 pip easy.
Well, Raj, you headed to the gym, man? Raja.
Seems like everyone's gone. Ted gone.
Yeah.
I'm here.
We're waiting on the return.
Alright. I just finally sent two trades in a row. Today is a good day. Alright. Fucking gold almost stopped me out of my cells.
Opposite.
Wait, Kevon, were you selling gold?
Yeah, because I wanted to take sales. What happened is on that push, it moved so fast, and I know there's nothing out, and it's in a downtrend. I figured I was going to pull back. Plus, we had that nice rejection wick on the 15-minute, so I had my stop above it.
Where's your stop?
Had my stop at $14.99, and I was taking sales coming up from let's see, $14.98, $14.97, $14.96, $14.96.
So you did pretty good.
Yeah.
This 1 hour.
Because there's no way. Like, I know the market's going to push, but I was expecting that at 9:30, but I didn't expect it so late. So I was just waiting. And I don't know if you guys noticed also gold does a push like 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Like anywhere from 9 p.m. to like 9:30 also does a push.
Yeah. Ted, you're gonna take the USD catch rate?
No.
No.
Ted's done for
I'll look at it. Yeah, I'll look at it.
We're robots, man. We only take one trade and we're out.
I'm in a Dow buy right now. Dow buy.
A what buy?
Now,
Oh, okay.
Oh, so you trade futures?
I do everything.
Okay. See, I used to trade. I used to trade futures back in the day, but I wouldn't even know where to look at, like how to pull up the platform anymore, man. I haven't messed around with them in years.
Principles are the same.
Yeah, I know, but do you use the broker? The broker uses Thinkorswim.
I have a I have goes way because I'm in the United States.
Oh, that you use, but you use for futures. You use for Thinkorswim, right?
Yeah. No, I'm using Ego's way for.
Okay.
Yeah, I've traded US 30 on Ugo's way.
I'm not. Actually, I'm. You guys want?
Who Ugo's way scared the living daylights out of you?
Yeah.
What they do?
Well, I just. I think this.
Yeah, I'd stay away from you this way. My honest opinion.
Yeah, I haven't had that problem yet, but I mean, a lot of brokers are like that, man. Eventually it catches up with them.
I haven't.
I mean, when I first signed on with them, I was like, I wonder if this is Trader's Way, just going under a different name. Because that guy was a scumbag, the owner of Trader's Way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, scumbag.
A lot of people from the States, I know they use Trader's Way.
Yeah.
Hevan went with them too, no problems.
Yeah. In 2016?
Oh, what?
In
2016?
Yeah, in 2016. That's my experience with them. It was back, like, I've been trading since, like, 13. But in 2016, I was using them, and there was a bunch of, like, problems and issues, like, with them, like, paying out. They weren't paying out. And pretty much, like, I was able to cash out my small account. My account wasn't that big then. And I never went back, but there was like a ton of reviews of them not like giving the money, not paying and stuff like that, and it was up in shambles for quite some time. I don't know if he's fixed that, but
okay. I think Rakil, how long you been with the family?
2016, June 2016.
Yeah, I think 2016. I think I joined Trader's Way. I didn't have any issues leading up to that. Yeah.
Trader's Way.
I just know that this he was buddies with this MLM guy.
He does a live
Sasquatch, we can't hear you, by the way.
Sasquatch. What a name.
I like that name.
That's his name that he uses?
Sasquatch, yeah.
Hey, people, can someone...
can you guys hear him? I can't hear him. I feel like he's talking, then it just fades out.
Yeah.
Hey, people, can someone offer to help me set the trade opener with stop loss, take profits, and script in MT4 instead of taking like 3 to 4 positions and dragging each? So you could actually use the market depth and you enter your stop loss and take profits in, and you take your position and they're already in. You don't have to enter your stop or
you can also use a mini terminal as well.
Yeah, that too.
Mini terminal, never heard of that.
Yeah, there's a mini terminal that you can use, and you can enter in all that stuff too. I first saw that on IC Markets, but you can download it off of MetaTrader.
Mini terminal. I'm thinking on the wrong thing. Oh, mini terminal can be super laggy. Is that true, Ted?
Yes.
Okay, never used it before.
I really think the best thing that anyone can do that's a good programmer, if someone's a very good programmer out there in YouTube world or any world, build a custom trading terminal and sell it, because meta quotes is horrible and you don't need meta quotes to trade. This is the biggest misconception, is you don't need meta quotes to trade. You just need a fixed API connection into the brokerage. Like Traders Domain offers fixed API. Like if you have your own custom terminal, you can connect directly into liquidity and you can go nuts. But that's what I wish someone would build, a custom terminal for retail traders that would have all these functions on it, like, you know, set your stop, like sort of like the way TradingView does, you know, its risk to reward system and stuff like that. If someone built a terminal, you would make so much money building a custom terminal for retail traders that competes with MetaQuotes, because MetaQuotes is garbage. It's an absolute garbage software, and their support is horrible, and all they're doing is they're just pushing out that crap because they know they have a monopoly on the market.
Yeah, because they're the only thing that's out there. If you think about equities have tons of terminals.
Yeah, exactly. So if you want to make money and you want to make I guess, you know, you need to build your trading account, and you're like, Ted, I need to make money. Can I make money? If you know how to program, build a custom terminal that you can market. And if you can show me a custom terminal that works with a fixed API connection that has all these little things that traders want. Think about what you want as a trader. And if you can build something, I'll market the shit out of it for you. And you'll make millions of dollars doing that.
Okay.
Because there's people that, you know, want...
I have someone that can do it.
Shit.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, MetaQuotes, it lags, it stalls, it takes time to reboot. There's all these problems with MetaQuotes, and if you can build a custom terminal that you can have the same layout as MetaQuotes, but you can have those little features like auto stop loss, auto take profit, you know, all these little things that you want, all these macros to be built in to the software, like one button, one click buttons and stuff like that, you'd be perfect. Ted, that could be your next project. No, Ted is too busy with other projects, and Ted's not a computer programmer. That's why all the shit on Traders Domain takes so long, because of the fact that I'm not a programmer and I have to rely on other people. Yeah, you can do it all with scripts, but the MetaQuote software is shit to begin with. That's sort of the issue there, Renko. Is we need a whole new retail platform. Like obviously CTrader is very good, and obviously if you have a direct API, a fixed API, it's very good. But if you're using like a MT4 or MT5, it's garbage. And anyone who says that MT4, MT5 is good, you should get your head checked, because it's not. You talk about slippage and things like that. Half the time the slippage comes from the fact that the servers for MetaQuotes don't get the order executions properly.
Freak, man, freak.
Ted, do you know anything about Hugo's Way? Nope. I don't worry about any other brokerage other than mine. I don't have time to worry about other brokerages. My focus is on making sure my brokerage is as good as possible. Why are we not offering CTrader? We just haven't had a big enough request for it. That's all.
That if we were to use it as for the purposes of like a firm, provide it as solutions for a firm, then it would have to abide by all the laws. But if it was just in-house, I mean, I'm assuming we'd have to, it would cost approximately like $70,000 to do it.
Well, I don't know how much it's going to cost, and I don't know what the parameters are on it. But I mean, if you think about if people are looking for business ideas, you look for gaps in the market and you try and attack those gaps.
I think that'd be a great idea.
Like that's what I always say to people is like you look at gaps in the market in any type of market that you're in. Like especially if you guys are if we're all traders, like. The reason why people get mad at me, or where the hate stems from, is I just saw gaps in the market and I just attacked those gaps, right? Like if I think all brokers are shit, why not open my own brokerage and make it better than every other brokerage? If I think all educators are shit, why not me do education and educate the masses, right? It's just a lot of people will think the same way, but then they just won't execute, and then afterwards they get upset because they're like, oh, that guy did it, right?
Good morning. I think I'm too late.
You're too late.
Too late.
You shouldn't even be allowed back in the chat now.
Yeah.
You
back in your hole.
Yeah, the teacher says go back to where you came from.
If you open your own broker, can you determine your own spreads? Yes, you can within reason. There's a raw spread that you obviously have to cover. But then you can add on to that if you want as a markup, or you can do raw spreads with like a commission fee or whatever. And you can do that. So there's opportunities there. So you just have to figure out what you want to do. And the other thing is too, a lot of times you basically you don't want to be the cheapest in terms of spread, but you just want to be comparable to everybody else. That's all. Like when I built my brokerage, all my spreads and my commission fees are based off of IC Markets, where I used to trade. I was like, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If IC Markets is one of the biggest brokerages in the world and that's what they're charging, why would I charge any more or any less? So that's the base that I took off of. Everything that IC Markets does, basically we try and do as well.
Wow, agents.
All right, everybody, enjoy your day.
Take care. I'm gonna head off to over here.
Done.
All right.
Hey.
Tomorrow.
I'm on a trade this week. DJ.